Thank you. So we've got 14. We've got 14 countries, I believe, that are full members. That's our full membership at the moment, and so we just need to establish if we have a quorum. So what that means is that we have over 10 of our full members, if you like, present. So we'll have a look at that over the next while, just to see if that's the case. That might change our plans slightly if we don't have a full quorum. Okay, great stuff. So look at we have the pleasure of going to be hearing from Brian Gatens from Dark Zone and a number of guests on a panel discussion. We just have one or two little bits of further housekeeping before I hand over to Brian. And of course, we're going to be trying to keep a close eye on the time as well, because we know everyone is pushed. But just to first of all, I just want to propose the minutes from the previous AGM. I think many of you will have attended the previous AGM, the first AGM, the inaugural AGM on the 22nd of January. So it was the 22nd of January 2025 when we elected this committee. There's obviously the minutes from that meeting have been circulated after. They've been published on the website, and they've been also recirculated to members. So what I would I would call for just a proposer and seconder of those minutes first, please. Yeah, you can actually you can put that in the chat feature, or you can put a hand up and just propose and second that. Thank you, Alex. Okay, are we good to go? Great, thank you, guys. Thank you. Next item, just matters arising. So obviously it was a fairly extensive, well, the minutes themselves included reports from various different functions at the time. And so, yeah, just matters arising from those minutes. Has anybody got anything that they want to raise from the minutes? I'm sure you've all studied them well today and had a really good look. The reason that we can just put any of those items, anything that people want to discuss, of course, we're going to try and put that into the agenda and allow for discussion on topics that people might want to raise. So we'll try and do that at the back end of the meeting. Okay. If that's okay with everyone, I'm going to move on, and I am going to just ask as well if anybody wishes to actually place any items for discussion under AOB at the back end of the meeting. So we'll be coming to that just as we get through some of our business. So if anybody's got anything they want to raise or discuss, they're welcome to raise that right now, or else put it into the actual chat function. Just type it in there if there's something that you want to just put it to the floor. Is that fair enough? Great to see some people coming there. I think we've just about beaten our last year. We had 44 at the AGM last year, so I think we're heading in that direction. That's good. Great stuff. As I said, feel free. We just need to be able to manage ourselves. But if anybody, as I said, if you've got something you want to place under AOB, you can use that chat function, or else you can raise a hand, and we're happy to go to you. Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Okay. I'm going to keep moving. Lisa, Ross, is that okay? Thank you. They're my two left and right hands here, helping out. Wayne in the background as well. So we've all the committee working here at the moment, helping out in different ways. Okay. Brian, it looks like as if we're heading over to you in reasonable time. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hand you over to the one and only Brian Gatens from Dark Zone podcast, the world famous Brian Gatens. I'm going to hand straight over and shut up.
I'm starting my clock here, folks. We're going to a max of 30 minutes for our discussion this morning. I want to welcome everybody to this meeting. I am honored and I am grateful that I've been given the chance to participate, and I look forward to the talk we're going to have today. I do want to point out that the conversation we're going to have today, and I want to thank Molly and Lars and Warley for being here. This is very often most likely the beginning of a conversation, not really the end of it. We want to get some feedback from our three panelists combined with the entire race community about the state of the sport today. I will say personally, logging onto this meeting today has been absolutely delightful. It's been a bleak, cold winter here in New Jersey. I mean, to Lars, it's like a summer's day, but it's cold here in New Jersey. And knowing I was going to see all of you made the day a lot warmer. So I hope that everybody is having a fantastic winter. Looking forward to our upcoming race season in the Northern Hemisphere. First question, I want to kick over to our friend Molly. Molly, as you know, is from New Zealand, a member of Team Fear Youth. She's been kind enough to join us on this call today with a busy work schedule. Our topic is all about adventure racing. Are we thriving or surviving? And Fear Youth is a good place to start. Fear Youth is indicative of New Zealand's commitment to youth development and sports. So Molly, if you want to begin our conversation today, could you talk to us a bit about your experience as a young racer and what enabled you to be as successful as you are, both the formal things that you went through as well as the informal expectations you had inside your community?
Yeah, so I guess in New Zealand, the youth pathway to adventure racing is really accessible and easy through high school. So that is when I was roughly 13 to about 17. There is local adventure races, New Zealand secondary school adventure races, South Islands, very accessible. And once you we did them in high school, and once you kind of come first, second or third in the national events, and into you go to a big Hillary Challenge, which it's called, and that's when 12 teams from New Zealand compete against each other, basically for like the high school national champs, basically up north. And I guess that's what got me started into adventure racing. Yes, it was only like the Rogaine stage was only 2 days, and you had to mandatory sleep during those 2 days. So you're not allowed to go through the night. But I guess that kind of makes it easier for us because we're only young. So then kind of from there, there's lots and lots of races locally, and they can range from 3 hours to 3 days mainly. And I guess because my family is quite adventurous and outdoorsy, and that's what really got me into adventure racing. So kind of from there, you start meeting people your same age, because you're only versing the same age group. And then from there, we kind of was like, well, why don't we enter God Zone? So that's when we entered God Zone when we were 18.
Of course, you just enter God Zone. That's what you do. You just happen to sign up and see how it goes.
Yeah, and then I guess from there, that's when you start learning about world champs and kind of ARWS races and how you can do them to win a free entry and stuff like that. So I guess that's where my love for the sport very young came from.
So clearly, as an individual, you grew up inside the Hillary challenges there. There were cultural expectations for you, formally inside your schooling and formally inside your family. Now that you've been doing this for several years and you've raced internationally and domestically, what is your take on the state of adventure racing in New Zealand and then what you see in the larger culture? What signs, what signals are you seeing about either growth or no growth?
Yeah, it's tricky because I guess the youth in New Zealand is quite a hot topic at the moment. I mean, lots of youth are getting into adventure racing, and even me, I do quite a bit of volunteering at adventure races, and it's all about youth because I guess if you're not having that next generation coming through, the old guys are going to die some stage, so they're going to get kicked off, and then there's kind of no one else coming through. So I guess for New Zealand, that's a really good sign that there's youth coming through. And yeah, personally, it's really cool to see that there is that opportunity here. But I guess overseas, I mean, New Zealand is such a little country that you, for example, I did a talk yesterday to about 70 people, and most people had heard of adventure racing. Whereas if you go overseas, it's a sport that not many people know about. So I guess just having that consistency of keeping those younger athletes motivated and determined to keep racing. And I guess it's harder in countries overseas to have that reach because the country is so big. So I guess some more, I don't know, more, it's because it's more word of mouth. If you've, if your dad does adventure racing, or your mum or your auntie, that's when you've heard about it. Whereas here, you see it on the news, you see it everywhere. You are racing through little towns, and the whole town will know that this race is coming through. And yeah, I guess that's really helpful for us. Yeah.
So clearly, a benefit is the smaller side of New Zealand, the activity, outdoor-based culture that you have there. I have one more question for you, then I'm going to go over to Lars. So the question I have for you is this: is not everybody does it though. What barriers exist that race directors, race organizers should be thoughtful about if they want to help the sport grow?
Yeah, I guess for me, what is really good is we had local grassroots races that were cheap and affordable and didn't go for 7 days straight. That is scary to enter.
Right.
We had, for example, there's a race called the WTF here in New Zealand, and that lasts like 2.5, 3 days. And they're hard races. You learn the skills, you develop like basically survival skills. And I guess that's why we're so good at when things get hard, and we're good at navigating, where we can survive out there for a long time with hardly anything. And I feel like those grassroots cheap races that isn't, you can, for youth example, you can go to school on Monday morning and not be completely destroyed, is a really like cool thing, because you can do many of them in the year, and you also don't have that pressure of, well, I can't enter that because it's a massive race. Like, there's no media. It's just you go out there with a few mates and learn those skills, develop them, so you're confident enough to go to a bigger race. Yeah.
So clearly, the large part of the thriving nature of New Zealand is because they create low barriers to entry in terms of the cost to do it, the social expectation to do it too, the fact that you could do it inside the context of a larger life, right? You're not dedicating an entire weekend to it, you're not dedicating all that to it. So therefore, putting all those things in place, and this is good for the race directors on the call, that if you want to thrive, make it easy to do it, make it fun for the younger people to do it, focus on the youth, and eventually they will grow into the older people who eventually, as you pointed out, are going to die eventually. But when they're young, have them do that. So Molly, thank you so much for being here. We love work you do in New Zealand. We love that Fear Youth is so powerful and strong. We know that you are busy working. I think it's morning where you are. So I'm going to go to Lars now. And if you have to leave, Molly, I want to say thank you on behalf of the IARA for being here today. And we hope to see you soon at a race. So thank you, Molly.
Thank you so much, Brian. Nice to see you guys.
Lars, kicking it over to you. And it's worth pointing out, Lars, as we go to you, that you were sending pictures earlier today of you up in the mountains before you were heading home to do this. So thank you for rubbing that in for those of us that are sitting in the Dark Zone World Headquarter bedroom studios. Lars, your perspective. You heard Molly talk about what things like in New Zealand, the thriving that she's seeing, the barriers that exist and things like that. From your perspective, for what's going on with Denmark and the Northern European dynamic, what is your feeling about surviving versus thriving?
It's always hard to keep the wheels going on in a country and keep the adventure race society going. I've been raised since 2004, so now 22 years. So I've seen a lot of race directors come, but I've also seen a lot of adventure races go, and the same with organizers. So the big dilemma right now is that some generation are leaving, and now it's about time to find new generation to take over, especially on the organizer side. We have had many years in Denmark and around Scandinavia with a lot of good races in Denmark, Sweden, and Finland. But last couple of years in Sweden, it has gone really much down, and we slowly start to see the same in Denmark right now, since the organizers are quitting or doing other things or getting too old to organize. So our mission right now in Denmark and starts also to be in Sweden is that new organizers have to get used to organize and get the help to start organize. So now with the Danish Federation, we have a lot of good tools and also some experienced people that can help new organizers on the way. So that is like the new program that we are doing.
So you talk about that, and I appreciate Molly's talk. Molly approached it from the perspective of the racer, right, and the youth racer, and barrier entry being low cost getting into it, a lot of fun like that. I like very much how you shifted away from the racer, bringing them in, and going over to the organizer's perspective, right? Because you need organizers to do it. So in your experience and how organizers are beginning to sort of fade away and some are coming in, what can the sport be doing to encourage those to organize races, to go through the time, the effort, the trouble? What is a successful formula that people follow to enjoy organizing?
I think most of all, it's about enjoying to race and enjoying to see new places. But you have to understand if nobody organizes, it will not be possible to go anywhere. So it's about making a culture that it's cool to contribute. So it's not only necessary to race, and it's really cool to see many teams race really hard and train and everything, but the whole culture and the whole sport would not be able to be here if there was nobody contributing, either in making trainings, either in making lectures, either in organizing clubs, federations, and all the work, or being an organizer. So all of it is glued together. Race hard, train smart, and but then organize and make it cool to contribute. So I think it's really that way. One thing that we have done in Denmark to promote a little bit about organizing is, of course, we have the Danish Championship, where the award goes to the fastest team, but we actually also have another award that is called the Golden Toe System. And in this sport, the toe system is pulling your team members forward. But in this sense, it's about pulling the whole sport forward in the toe system. So having an organizer prize that goes to the organizers or the people that have contributed a lot to the community, I think that's as well important as it is with a championship.
So that's a very valid point you make there, is besides just choosing the fastest team and when there was a championship, you've created a social benefit. You've created a public recognition of the organizer that is doing their best to bring the sport forward. That is more than just putting on races. You mentioned lectures, clubs, training sessions, things like that. So aside from the racing itself, where do you encourage organizers and national federations to put their attention to help the sport thrive?
I think it's mostly also to bring in the culture and the awareness that it's not only needed to race, but that this is still a small sport and will always be a small sport. And the small sport could never survive if nobody is pulling the train forward. So I think that's a key factor to understand in the whole scheme of racing. And I think everybody in this call, they love racing and they love exploring new places in one way or another. And we want to continue this as long as we live.
When a person no longer organizes a race, when they decide they no longer want to do it, what do you think drives them away from that? What causes to make them no longer want to do it?
It's really hard to organize and be behind the scenes. Sometimes there is a cliche in the sport that the hardest part is getting to the start line. But actually, if you have tried to organize or be behind the scene, you rather want to race because it's not as hard as it is to organize. So I think over the years you get more gray hair by organizing than racing. Both is equally good, but I think it's a thing that has to be divided into all parts of your life. And everybody is going through different life circles, family, house, job, and so on. And this is all our free time on the side. So I think everything should be put into place. And I think it's great that all the organizers kind of before they step back put the torch to watch new people to take over the work that they have done so they can benefit from some of their experience so not everybody has to make the wheel again. So I think that's the most important, and where the circle is complete is when you have created something or you have a lot of experience as an organizer or working in a federation. Before you step down, you kind of head the torch towards the next coming people. And I think that is kind of makes the circle complete.
I think you're right about that too. From our experience here with USARA under Garrison's leadership and now Brett Friedland's leadership, they created a cultural expectation that aspiring race directors are more than welcome to reach out to a panel of USARA senior members who would talk with them about logistics, maps, working with permitting agencies, working with sponsors, partners, things like that. So to your point, Lars, the idea that the larger organization inside a country, whether it be an association or a federation, can work together with aspiring race directors to make their path easier to put those races on. Because to your point, organizing it is much easier to be a racer than to be a race director. I've absolutely come to believe that. And I've seen more meltdowns on the race director side than on the racer side during races. And so I definitely agree with you that we form our own structure, our own help, and that's how we bring people along, especially people who are newer to the sport, who have done the racing, have really enjoyed it, and want to organize themselves. If we want to thrive, we need to create pathways for those people to be race directors and organizers as easily as possible. Not easily, but as easily as possible. So far we've heard from Molly, who talked about how we get racers into the sport, right? Low barrier to entry, low cost, make it fun, let them go to school on Monday morning, have that in there. You talk about what race directors can do, take care of each other, work together, having the Golden Toe Award, TOW, right? You pull the entire sport along. So there we have the racer and the race director. Lars, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that. It is not lost on me that you are identifying Greenland as your home country. I want you to know that as somebody who's sitting in New Jersey in America, that we are thinking so much of you in the way the world is today. I hesitate to lean too politically in one single direction, but I have an audience here. I want to say it right now is that America overwhelmingly loves you, Denmark, and your country. And pay no attention to the voices that only want to divide us and push us apart, because it is absolutely, I don't want to use an obscenity, so I won't use it. But I just want to say to you right now that we are on your side. When I say me, I mean me and many of my countrymen. So I apologize for going there, but I had to say, I saw Greenland, Lars, and we love you and your people very, very much. So please take that away. Thank you,
Really
Lars.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hang in there. Shifting now to Brazil. Brazil, as we put this panel together, we have Warley Costa coming in from Brazil. Warley is a fantastic race organizer himself down there. When we were discussing people to get involved here, his name was one of the first ones to pop up when it came to South America. So Warley, thank you for being part of the panel today.
Hi, Brian.
I don't know you as well as I know Molly and I know Lars, and I'm happy that we are solving that problem right now. But sitting here now and being 20 minutes into our conversation, you hear what Molly had to say and we hear what Lars had to say. What can you contribute, and what are your thoughts on thriving versus surviving?
Okay, so first of all, thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to have our Brazilian community represented here. Before I go to your question, I would like to comment about Molly's words. I would love to have the same culture here in Brazil, like they have in New Zealand. They have the adventure races at school. They have adventure races as part of their day-to-day life, right? You guys know here in Brazil, everybody plays soccer, every family, every parent, everybody can play soccer, but just a few people are part of the adventure race community. We are growing, but I would love to have the same let's say culture here in Brazil, but it's not our reality. We are also a big country in terms of size, compared like New Zealand and Australia. This is one of our challenges to manage the sport in a large country. We have 26 states in the country. So in every place we have different race organizers, different communities. They have their own needs in each region of the country. So I'm part of the national body, the CBCA, the Brazilian National Federation, let's say. And to your point, and also to Lars' point, the way that we try to work from a national body perspective, we try to facilitate the way, the path to the race organizers and to the local federations. Because here we work in a model that we have ourselves from CBCA from the top, looking at country level, right? And we have some local bodies or local federations that are supporting the race organizers in each state, right? So the way that we try to contribute to the sport development, we as a national government body, we try to help them to identify opportunities to get funding to support the sport development, because we have, in every country, but we have very complex laws here in the country, but we at the same time we have very good uh, sports programs to get funding. So, but sometimes the race organizers and the federation, they don't know how to get there, how to prepare or to structure a project to be able to receive some funding to support their races and their local championships. So most of the time we are working from a, let's say, country level, from our body level, to support them, providing documents, license, and paper. Most of the time we do paperwork for them that will validate them, that will allow them to get this or to put their hands on this funding, on this money at local level. So we are not, when I say we, the National Federation, we are not organizing races. We provide support to the race organizers and to the local federation. We try to facilitate their lives, right? So this is how we play today to sport, right? Where it's the best way that we can contribute. It's not, we don't try, we try to avoid to, we have some rules. We have our national rules for the sport. We have I'll not say rule, our guidelines that we share with the local organizers, the local races. But most of the time we don't do any interference on their race. We just provide the guideline and try to support them. Yeah, in summary.
So that's a really important point you bring out, right? Because as we talked about with Molly and Lars, the racer and the organizer, what you're saying in Brazil, what CBCA does is that there's actually a level above that, where when it comes to permitting and it comes to funding in the different agencies, you provide that really administrative, technical support, form filling out, making connections, and that enables the race director to continue forward. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, that's correctly exactly how we play, let's say this way. Because we have been successful. We have tried different models of national championship from the past years. Some were successful, some were not very successful. So, but from the last 3 or 4, since the last 3 years, we start to play more on this way to provide more support instead of have our organization, our entity organizing the race. And we have
you aren't putting actual races on. You're not, but you're creating pathways for race directors to more easily put on races.
Yeah, and we are growing. It's a tricky question. Your question is a very good question. If we are thriving or we are just surviving, I was thinking about that, and I can say that we are thriving. Okay, we have something around 35 to 50 races per year in the country. I think it's a good number. We have, if we look to the world ranking, we have 3 teams at the top
Mhm,
12
mhm,
worldwide.
mhm,
We have 5
mhm,
teams at the top 10 of the South America ranking. So we are growing. We have very good uh, teams at the top, let's say, some very strong teams.
mhm.
We have some new people joining the sport. Some race organizers, they are focused on developing new athletes for the sport, but we still need to connect all. We need to connect our community, and it's something that we are trying to put in place. Is a kind of national platform. I mean, to manage the sport, because we have different uh, in each state or each organized. They use their own, they follow our guidelines, but we can do it better if we have a platform to support. And the same way that I think we should go in a global level, we should create a adventure race platform that where, and it's what IARA is trying to create. And
Sure.
I can see that we're gonna be, we need to be patient because it will take time.
Mhm.
Look, sometimes we feel uncomfortable that things are not progressing, but it will take time. The sports that are now famous, like surf and others, that they took a long time to
Mhm.
arrive to the point that they are today. So we need to be patient, but if we are able to create a global platform and local in a country level, a global platform to manage the sport, we're gonna be successful in a midterm, I think. That's the
Yeah,
way
and
I
it's
see.
good that as you reflected on the topic that we have here, the idea of thriving versus surviving, you point to that data that you have about how successful your top end teams are, and along the way, how many races are taking part in Brazil. I think it's good to point out that what the Brazil model really probably speaks a lot to what IR is doing too, which is not organizing races, not putting on races, but rather creating an environment in which race directors have an easier path to putting on races. And if we
Yeah.
want the sport to thrive, if we want to grow well, we should do our best. We, the capital W, all of us on this call, all of us, and I've seen this in different races, we should make it as easy as possible to get a racer to the start line. And we make it
Yeah.
easy as possible by helping the race director put the race on with as little distraction or problems as possible. We're
Yeah.
about 2 minutes away, Warley, from wrapping up our 30-minute session here. I promised I would stop at 30 minutes. As you were kind enough to be here, kind enough to wait to go, give us one more minute on your hopes for the sport going forward, both in Brazil and around the world. And then I'll turn it back over to you, Cormac. Take it away, Warley.
Yes, again, so thanks for having me here. And I think we are going at the right direction, okay? From a sports perspective, it's good to see here that we have almost 50 people from different places to get discussing the topic. It's a very good starting point. If we think 2 years ago, IARA was just an idea, and now we are a group of several countries going in the same direction. So I have very good expectations. We need to continue on this way. And as I mentioned, it will take time. We need to be patient. It will take time. We are not dedicated to it. We have our personal lives, our responsibilities in other areas. So it brings some difficulties to the process, but we need to continue we need to keep going. So we need to keep following the trail, let's say. I think
Very,
that's it.
very well, Adventure Race said, Warley. Just keep going forward, right? That's what we have to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
Well, thanks for being here.
We're gonna find the checkpoint.
Find it. You
We're
keep
gonna
moving,
get to
and
the
thank
checkpoint.
as long as I don't have the maps, we'll find them. Thank you,
Yeah.
Molly. Thank you, Lars. Thank you, Warley. Thank you, IR, for giving me the chance to take part in the AGM today. It's my honor to be here. For all of my friends on this call today, I cannot wait to see you in person or online at your races. Have a wonderful 2026, and I hope to talk to you all soon. Cormac, back to you.
Great stuff, Brian. Thank you. And to all the contributors. Really, really insightful stuff there. And I agree with everything that I've heard. I think some really good ideas there as well, you know, and I think using a forum to just talk and be honest about where the sport is at and what are the things that we can do to actually make it better and to make it thrive, I think is it's really important. I'm just going to try something slightly off script, but it's going to help me for a bit later on. I'm just going to throw a poll up here and see what everyone else is thinking, whether the sport is thriving or surviving. Uh, I'm going to try and just launch this poll. Um, uh, Okay, let's just see if we can do this. Let's see what you all think. You want to try and vote? Come on, be honest now. All done? Surviving, thriving. It's a close one. Okay. Okay. It's uh okay. Excellent. Excellent. Let's just have a look and see. So the surviving just pips. It's close. But there's a kind of a general consensus that yeah, we've got work to do to make it to make it to move more into the thriving zone, you know. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Okay, good stuff. I'm going to close that down. Thank you for that. So we've got to we are going to just move in. Wayne, grateful if you could share the slide deck. Um, we've got some the next agenda item is actually some discussion on any of the matters that were raised on the minutes from the previous meeting. We don't have anything that is this is what the agenda looks like for the next 30. We've got matters arising, which we don't have any, so we're going to be going straight into some updates from IARA itself. For some of my colleagues who are going to be speaking to you. And then we've got the chairman's report, treasurer's report. We've got a couple of motions that we want to put in front of you guys, and then we have election of officers. So it's all business, but we will have a bit of chance for a bit of interaction and discussion. And of course, we're open for this questions and stuff under all these different things. So. We are going straight over to functional updates, and I think we're going to start with membership, if that's okay. Ross, you've got a hand up there.
Just to confirm that we've got the quorum. I know we've been chatting in the background, but the rest of the meeting needs to know. Cormac, that was all.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for that, Ross. So what that means is that constitution-wise, we've 70% of our membership is in attendance. So we have that. Great. Okay, so we're going to just pop over, and I think we're going to start with some just. I think we're over to Alan.
Hi guys, it's a pleasure to be here. So regarding membership, just a little bit of the history I'm going to be reading so that I can be a little bit more fluid. In 2023, the membership working group studied 5 different governing bodies to define a criteria. And then in early 2024, we developed the membership validation process and tested it with 3 countries. Also in 2024, the working group proceeded to validate 12 out of 13 countries we knew existed and were structured, being Denmark, Uruguay, and Brazil, the first batch in September 2024, and France and USA being the last ones prior to the AGM in January 2025. After completing this work, 3 out of 5 members of the working group stepped down, and the new voted steering committee decided that the general steering committee members, Alain, myself, and Niels, would take care of continuing the work of membership. After the AGM last January, in March 2025, we completed the validation process for India that has some unique considerations. And between March and April, we modified the concept of the observer membership model for countries that are not quite yet structured and validated the first observer country with Colombia, with a signed letter of representatives that assume the role of representation while progressing on a more formal structure. In between March and April, the steering committee defined task group to be formed, and myself and Niels started to create a development guidance document project that is linked to the work of membership. Between July and August, we worked on a presentation for the upcoming International Adventure Racing Conference that was held in Canada after the World Champs, using the concept studied for the development guidance document, including a world map color with different levels of adventuration. I think when you have the map, that's the countries, yeah. um, and the levels of involvement in different countries, and also a development pattern. With the observer members, we encourage other countries to join, being Australia, the second country to achieve observer membership. Again, a pretty unique situation for Australia, and they got to be observers yesterday. So South Africa is well advanced. Actually, they already signed the letter, and they are going to be the next observer country. Kudos for that to Lisa. And UK, Argentina, Costa Rica, Japan, Italy, Poland, and Croatia have shown proceeding with a similar model. It's important to mention that the upcoming junior World Champs by AWS and the registration process by IARA with Raid Temiscamingue and World Series has created some renewed interest in countries approaching IARA to be members and build a new junior projects in their countries. At the AGM 2026 today, we are informing that Finland has changed some representatives. One of the representatives had some health issues, and we weren't able to communicate. That's why we had 12 out of 13 countries. And they changed representatives, and yesterday we got the documents required by the validation process. The report was filed yesterday and approved by the steering committee yesterday. So now we have 14 full members, 2 observer members, that is Colombia and Australia, and 3 associate members. For the upcoming year, 2026, the goal is to continue the validation process for new countries and encourage countries with no structure, with the aid of the development guidance documents that is going to be presented in early 2026, to have new members and to follow up on existing members that could improve representation, member bases, and government recognition. All this while extending the communication with and between countries. And that is the end of my membership report. So thank you to everybody that worked on membership, especially the guys in the beginning, Damon, Moraine, Wally, Marek, and now more recently, Niels and Lisa. That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alan. Thank you for all your work on the membership side, just from all of the countries that you've been interacting with, the reps from all of those countries, the Zoom calls, the meetings, the reports. It really is, just huge effort. Just to say thank you, Alan, for all your work. And just also to extend a warm welcome to our 2 new recent full members. Finland as a full member, and Australia as an observer member, and Colombia, I think, earlier in the year as an observer member also. Certainly a pathway there for a lot of developing countries to come in and join. So great progress there. Okay, next up, updates on the communication side, and then a bit on the international side. Wayne.
Hi. Hold on, too many things at once. There I am. Just a quick update on IARA communications. Lisa gets a lot of credit for keeping the lights on and moving things forward in terms of those emails that you get in your inbox about the AGM, the social posts that are happening on Facebook and other channels, and then basically making sure the wheels keep moving. So big thumbs up and appreciation to Lisa for all her work. A little bit about kind of some of the forward-facing or public-facing stuff you would see that IARA has been doing in the last year. Last spring, we worked on our strategic plan. We developed that into a document and then shared a meeting to kind of share that thing. Ongoing, we've had our social media. We have 277 followers for us on Facebook. We have 289 followers for Instagram. If you don't follow us on either of those channels, we'd appreciate the follow and spread the word. It is a good chance for us to engage. It also allows us to reshare stuff. So as the national associations are posting about activities in your country, IARA can help by resharing that type of information. The other thing, and where kind of all the resources for the association lives, is on the internationaladventureracing.org. This is just a screen grab of our news page kind of thing. Things like the World Obstacle pentathlon situation, which we've engaged in on a couple different levels. This is where you're going to go find the latest position information on there. It also will link to different resources and things like that. So if you haven't got it bookmarked, by all means do. It's a good place to know is out there. The other, I guess, media marketing thing we had a participation in was the International Adventure Racing Conference in October in Penticton in Canada at the end of the ARWS World Championships. I was there in person actually as the ARWS referee, but I was able to put on my IARA committee hat and present some of the activities for IARA. Alan was originally supposed to be there, but was recovering from an injury, so he joined us virtually and explained, provided an update for the membership. So it was important for, again, it's an opportunity for our community and our sport to come together, and it's important that IARA is playing a role in that type of event and conference. So I think that's it for me. I'm going to pop off.
All right, so that's over to me for a quick update on the World Obstacle and World Pentathlon situation. As many of you might have seen recently, we did communicate with UIPM last week. Coming up on the 15th of March, the World Obstacle Congress, they will be voting to dissolve World Obstacle. So that then completes or sort of gets the next cycle going for the integration of World Obstacle with UIPM. The challenge for us at the moment is coming out of the UIPM Congress in 2024, in November 2024, the words adventure racing were removed from the definition of pentathlon, of the obstacle sports. The problem is that under World Obstacle, they are still claiming adventure racing. So when this whole merger happens, although adventure racing isn't specifically mentioned as a discipline of the pentathlon sports, we're coming through from World Obstacle is they're going to claim it. So we did write a letter to UIPM asking them to confirm that adventure racing will be excluded when this merger happens. They replied to us, I think it was yesterday, day before, to essentially say that they don't acknowledge IARA and that when the merger comes, the disciplines they will then review once the merger has happened. So that's not really an answer that we want. We will keep representing the sport of adventure racing, and we will be contacting other sporting associations and organizations to stake our claim and make our position that World Obstacle has never governed and does not have adventure racing under their banner, and that IARA is the representative governing body for the sport of adventure racing. So that's it. You can catch up on all the news on our website under the news and media. We do post on our Facebook page and Instagram. So if you like and follow those, then you will get those updates as they happen. Cormac, over to you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Wayne, for the updates. Alan also. Yeah, I think it's just I guess in summary, the fight goes on, and I think we maybe get a chance to talk about that in a bit later in the agenda, but I think it's important that countries, national federations actually also step up, and contacting the local or the national pentathlon federations in your own countries just to actually express your concern over this is an important action that you can actually take, to highlight the issue and to ask for adventure racing to be left to the International Adventure Racing Association and the international and the community. Okay, cool. Thank you, guys. I am going to quickly run through, hopefully not repeat some of the items that some of my colleagues touched on. I'm going to try and run through it, but I do have a few things to say under Chairman's report. Yeah, I've actually really enjoyed, and it's been a delight for me just working with the group. Overall, it's been a great year for adventure racing around the world, with many great races happening and good numbers taking part. It's also been a good year for IARA, its first full year in operation. The steering committee met monthly online over the course of the year and worked well together. The committee published Navigating Forward, IARA's strategy and priorities 2025 to 2027, following good consultation with members and lots of ideas that were coming in from members. Wayne, can you move that slide along? Great. The strategy can be reviewed on the website, and it largely focuses on three areas of development, which is developing a strong organization, building a strong membership base, and supporting the development of a strong sport. So those three pillars really are the three areas of growth, and what we have under those is, I guess, numerous actions start to filter in under each of those different areas as we build the organization and indeed support those different pillars. IARA was able to formally constitute itself as a company limited by guarantee in 2025, and thanks to Ross in the UK for his work on that. But this was an important step that created an independent structure for the association, but also allowed us to establish our own bank account and our financial systems. So IARA also progressed several projects in 2025, including Alan has already referenced the development of some guidance documents for national federations. We worked on youth projects and also an international race categorization system. We also worked with ARWS on bringing about and hopefully supporting ARWS on the first Junior Adventure Racing World Championships, which is an exciting thing. Of course, it's an exciting thing that's coming in August or July 2026. And as Wayne has already said, we supported the International Adventure Racing Conference in October. So both of these really positive initiatives that I think add value to the community. On the international front, I think we've touched on it already. On the international front, there's no need to go into some of the detail there. It'll be in the chairman's report, but I think it's certainly a concern for the committee, and it should be for the entire community. That adventure racing still remains under World Obstacle and remains part of the merger into the new big entity, which is World Pentathlon Multisport, which will be establishing in 2026. Okay, so overall, I'm very happy with progress made by IARA personally in 2025, bearing in mind that we are all volunteers and operating without any financial resources. The committee has worked hard, given a lot of time and energy to the cause, and I would like to thank them warmly for this. I think we worked well as a group, and I think it's a pleasure to work with everyone. I would also like to thank all the volunteers that assisted on different projects that we were working on over 2025. And indeed, I guess there's a bigger picture at play here as well, which is all of the race organizers, all the volunteers that worked on and helped and brought about events throughout the world in 2025. Just a big thank you to all of those. So looking forward, there are some important areas for us to progress in 2026, including the continued expansion of our membership base, recognition of IARA as a global sport entity, and working to resolve our issue with World Obstacle and World Pentathlon, fundraising for IARA to make it financially viable, and improving representation and engagement from member countries with IARA. IARA is beginning to show what it can do. For the sport of adventure racing, helping countries to become better organized and structured, building connections between countries, sharing ideas and successful initiatives, progressing projects that can benefit the sport across all countries, supporting members and projects like the Youth World Championships and helping to open funding opportunities for member countries. It can do all of this and more, but it will need the input and support of all member countries and the adventure racing community from around the world to do it. If you're in a position to help and give more help, get involved in some way, to offer some expertise or time to the organization, this would be greatly appreciated. And just ask you to please get in touch. that's it for me. Okay. Over to Ross.
So hello, good evening, good afternoon, whatever your time is, wherever you are. It's not a great place to be in as the treasurer of this organization at the moment. Vali, I was particularly interested to hear that we've got to be patient. That's very much a lesson that we've learned through this last year, that we want to do things and it doesn't happen quite as quickly as we'd like sometimes. However, these are the highlights. There is going to be a full treasurer's report that will get circulated with the minutes. So I'm not going to read it word for word to you. It would be dreadfully dull, dreadfully boring. I'll just give you the highlights. So bottom line is, currently financial position of IARA is not good, it's bad. We haven't got very much money at all. We had revenue in 25 from loans and a very, very small number of donations. And our expenses have been limited, luckily, or by happenstance, have been limited to the registration of the company and opening the bank account. I think it's a statement of reality that without some form of incoming revenue, the future existence of IARA is in question. I have to be honest about that going forward. So if I can take you through the financial position, the traditional stuff that a treasurer will do at an AGM. And if we can just flip to the next slide, please, Wayne. So traditionally, you start with an income statement. This is dead easy, really. Just before we go into the detail here, just a point of clarity. We operate in sterling, but we've given a US dollars conversion because it's probably more internationally understandable about the value. I've used a nominal exchange rate of £1 equals $1 US dollar 35. So we had loans and donations coming in of £274, $370, and we spent £256, leaving a balance of £17 in the bank, or 23-ish dollars. If we can flick on now, that is the income and incoming and outgoing for the year. Not much. Balance sheet, pardon me. Technically, IARA is bankrupt. It's as simple as that, because our liabilities exceed our assets, so we can't repay our loans. If all the members that loaned IARA money demanded their money back, we'd be unable to pay them. So that is just the statement of where we are. It's not where we want to be, and it's not part of the plan to move forward. So if we can flick forward, please, Wayne. Is it possible to get that on one page? Because I don't think you can see the bottom of what's happened here when. So this is a budget for 2026, broken down into what considered to be the basic operating costs. It includes a fair level of contingency, but that is mainly related to financial exposure on the exchange rate between US dollars and sterling. And it's really for maintaining a basic operating level. And it will cover things like renewing our company registration at HMRC, paying for a Zoom calls account, paying web hosting, all the stuff that we have to pay this year that last year we funded by loans from the steering committee members. So in total, we're looking at a budget of about just shy of $4,700 for the year. So can we flick forward a slide now, please, Wayne? And this is where it gets a bit more esoteric, I guess. What do all these lines mean? Well, behind them there's a rather large spreadsheet of assumptions about money that's coming in and costs going out. What I've tried to do is take a view of we need to invest to grow the sport. We need to have money coming in to sustain the operation of IARA and to grow its services to the members, and trying to keep it in the green. So the blue line is the cumulative income for the next 3 years. Red line is the cumulative expenditure, and the balance, the green line at the bottom, try to keep it not dipping below zero, but not going too much, not having too many dollars in the bank sitting doing nothing. We, as a committee, we'd far rather there was money out there doing something for the development of the sport than sitting in the bank gaining very little interest. There's no point in that, in our opinion. If we can flick on, please, Wayne. So I know you don't get much of what that meant from the previous graph, but what it is, it's a plan with a vision for growth. We want to move from investing less than $1,000 in 2026 to a place where we're investing nearly 20K back into the sport in 2028. We need to do this to grow. We need to do this to develop IARA, but we need to generate funds in order to do this. Just to reiterate, any profits that were made have to be invested back into IARA. That's the constitution of the company that we formed. That's what IARA is set up to do. Nobody's on a gravy train here. We know that we need to be recognized as adding value to the sport. And this last little block on the slide here is showing that we're trying to keep the operating expenses down. Basically kept them at the same level as this year with a small allowance for inflation, but showing big increases in investing in development. Now, development is investing money into stuff like perhaps creating a database of races and statistics of race times, some data management stuff, data mining stuff. There's no fixed strategy for those yet. These are just ideas, but investing in projects that will improve what IARA is giving to its members. An investment is actually paying money out of IARA back into adventure racing, be that through grants for something like a social enterprise project, an environmental project, training, etc., etc. And that, I think, is pretty much the Treasurer's report. Happy to take a few questions, and I'll answer as best I can.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Ross. That's actually open to the floor. That's a call to anybody who wants to just raise a question here.
And so the plan is to create a membership fee for the countries, right? the proposal, let's say.
Well, that's one. We'll be coming to that in a moment. That's one area that we will be initially looking at. I guess the motion to and we can discuss that when the motion comes up in a moment. This is probably more at the actual the macro level where we're actually just looking at a bigger picture, really, about finances and financial sustainability or viability for IARA as it goes forward. And I think Ross has pretty much laid it out there that we can't survive on nothing. We have to actually have a growth mindset, and we're going to have to actually look at different ways of raising revenue.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. Just as an example, this month of January just paid here in Brazil almost, I would say, $2,000 as local fees, taxes, and everything related to keep our entity, let's say, ready to support the country. So the same situation that I'm seeing here in IARA as the same situation that I have here in the country. And we count on contributions, donations, and things like that to raise the money. So I'm more than familiar with this situation. We need to find an alternative
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that.
exactly. I think just from the proposal around membership fees, that really is what we would be looking at as the operating costs. So as a core funding
Yes,
that we
I
would
would
have base level
agree that.
funding, yeah, coming from from fees coming in. But obviously there's more income we'll be needing to look at for sure. Anybody else got any questions on this one? Yeah. Okay. Okay, great stuff. And of course, just a shout out while we're here. If anybody in the group has fundraising experience or has I would say ideas really around revenue generation or fundraising, or indeed a background in finance that you can come to us with, that'd be helpful. So really unlocking some of the expertise that's in the adventure racing community is something that we really want to do. There's a lot of very, very experienced professional people across all different
Yeah.
disciplines in adventure racing, and it really is important for us to tap into that. Okay.
So Rami's raised a question in
Oh
the
yeah,
chat, Cormac.
sure.
Question about getting subsidies. What about countries where IARA is based? The problem with that, Rami, is it's an international association. The UK is happy to invest into national sporting organizations, but less so on an international basis. So we haven't had any success in that at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
So
keep
maybe
moving.
could be interested. Hello guys. Maybe could be interested to have an antenna in Canada in order to have some help from the government for the organization and get some money for that and helping the entire IARA for that event.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Eh, Ideas. Good things come from just ideas and lots of ideas, and I think that's where we're at. Like we will be looking to put a working group around fundraising together, and really generating some ideas around this. And again, that's one of the areas that we will need to be prioritizing for 2026. Okay,
Just a
let's.
just a quick
Sorry.
comment. Just a quick comment on the pentathlon situation and how this all relates together. It kind of comes down to recognition of the sport and who is the organizing bodies for the sport. I'm in Canada, Canadian Adventure Racing Association. We've been around for quite a few years, but we haven't taken the next step and become the national sporting organization for adventure racing in Canada. We've now, we've associated ourselves with IARA, but IARA isn't necessarily the international sporting organization for adventure racing. That's why it's important for us to fight the good fight for this pentathlon world obstacle situation, but help each of these national organizations get recognition in their own countries, because then that unlocks funding and fundraising and subsidies, as Romy is talking about. So it's part of the step. It's unfortunately it's a road that we recognize we have to go down in every country and worldwide, but it takes resources to do those kind of things and to get, to get recognition and to get on the radar of Sport Accord and those international organizations. So that's on the list of things to do.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Wayne. Anybody else got any comments or thoughts on this?
I do have just one last thing to say. I found the note that I forgot to pick off as I was going. We did have a small fundraising working group last year. It wasn't successful, mainly because we were premature in constituting it. We didn't know what we were trying to do. So there's a couple of people that need to be thanked for that, and that'll be in the report because I can't remember the names right now. I've gone blank, but they are in the report, I promise you. And there was some good output from that, which I'm sure will be useful going into the future, but it just wasn't for 2025. And that's me done.
Excellent, Ross. Thanks a million. There's some heavy lifting there, I guess. It's the hard yardage there, just working on finance and budgets and projections. But it's so vital for us, for IARA, as we're looking to the future. Okay, so we're moving to the next item, and we've got a couple of motions to vote on. Niels, it's over to you for this slot.
Yes, thank you, Cormac. I've got visuals now. Yeah, I've got sound. So
Great.
I want to take you on the towards the two motions. There are two motions. One is about classification system. I will start with it, and
Wayne, can you
afterwards,
move the slideshow along there, please?
yeah. So it's a categorization or classification of international races and national races. We developed a system, and the second motion about what we are going to vote is the membership fee proposal. So all this aligns with the discussion that we had before. Why is it important to get a healthy and also financial healthy organization? And I think I start with the international race categorization, what helps to really make the profile and how we are looked to from the outside world and from the international organizations to IARA and adventure racing in general worldwide. So let me start with the motion. After I explained the motion, how we came to this proposal, what this proposal exactly encompasses, we will vote. There will be the voting. Cormac will deliver that on the screen. And then I will ask only the representatives of the 14 full member countries to give their votes. Well, I'll repeat it when we do the voting process. So let me start. There's been put a lot of work in making this proposal for the race categorization. So there was a survey among 17 countries that delivered data how their categorization in their country took place, and then the task group consisting of several countries, among them Ireland, UK, Spain, the USA, and Uruguay. They brought us down to four very good, recognizable, and branded categorizations. It's important to notice before I explain a little bit about this classification system. It only captures the parameters of the different categories. It's not about the content of the race. So race directors are completely free to have their own name, branding of their race, the choice of terrain, the choice of difficulties, whatever. But it professionalizes the sport, and it gives a good oversight for the athletes to see what type of race this will be that they are willing to enter. So this is a little bit of the background. Let me bring you up to date about the four categories that were developed. But you can see also in the images There is a difference in color, and the difference in color represent the difficulties. The differences in difficulties and experiences need and duration, of course, for this typical race. There is also a difference in how the hills develops until the Himalaya. I think that's on the expedition image, and the IARA logo is of course part of it. So this is this type of topology and brand can be used by race directors to typify their own race. So now into the more detailed content of these 4 categories. It starts with discovery races. Well, you can read it out loud here, so I only go into a little bit broadly sketch of what this encompasses. Discovery races, 1.5 to 5 hours, can be an entry point because there's a low barrier to entry. Can be a big learning curve in this. At the other end, it's also it can be challenging for experienced racers who want to pump up their speed, intensity of racing, have the navigation drills, more experiences in racing at high speed, for instance. So the second category, please, next slide, probably it's there. It's the challenge race. Yeah. So this is from next step from 5 to 12 hours. It's a little step up in physical endurance requirement and logistics, etc. But still very much doable by youth, of course, by newbies, because it doesn't require a lot of logistics, a lot of fancy and expensive material, etc. So the way to enter this is very easy. And also here, on the other hand, it can also be a challenge for experienced racers to see how their team is functioning, to see how they can really beat the crowd in the speed, etc. of their race. And navigation skills, of course, go up. Then the next level is the endurance category, endurance races, 12 to 48 hours. I think nowadays we can all imagine there are examples of existing races already. For instance, in the European Adventure Race Series, the African Adventure Race Series, these are mostly races around 36 hours to this 48 hours. And in endurance, of course, there can be focus on sleep management, night navigation, and more endurance consistency. And alliance, of course, like I said, with some of the race categories that are now already in existence in the ARWS system. Last category will be called expedition races, 48 hours up to 10 days, like in World Championship, 8 days, Patagonian in the past 10 days. Well, most of you know what this encompasses. This is really self-reliance, technical skills, problem solving, sleep monsters, well, the whole stuff. I get a smile on my face now. So, the proposal for all the full members of the International Adventure Race Association is, do you vote to bring this categorization into the racing system and the races that are in place in your country? And of course, we are well aware this is not something that can be reached easily in 1 year or so. But I think it's a very good system that we, in the next 1 or 2 years, we can enroll further and further. So the recognizability of adventure racing worldwide will be much bigger than it is already now. So, before we start the voting process, are there any questions? I see a question coming up, and I have to open the chat. It's a double function, but I saw Pascal.
I'll try and help you there.
Stage races, like Corsica, for instance. Okay, some member of the task force of the classification system, they probably have thought of this.
Sorry, that question is it again, is it an expedition length race? Is it going for a couple of days? Is it in that difficulty category? I guess it's kind of into that duration piece, and also the profile of racer that you want to attract. And again, I guess it's just that what the working group were thinking about was the pathway from entry level right through to the top end, right? So that basically, people coming into the sport would have an entry point and can see a journey where they can actually, progress along to, or indeed stay in a particular area that they're interested in, and look for races like that. So sorry, the question is around stage races. I think if it's applicable, I think if one of these, I would say that if it's a day race and it's a stage race, I mean, to me, all adventure races are stage races. They all divide out into stages. But yeah, sorry if I, yeah.
Yeah, so it can fit in the categories.
Yeah, I think so.
The brief answer. I see one hand raised and a question in the chat. Thomas.
Yeah, hi. I'm representing Denmark and Daro, and we have like a similar system in Denmark, and we have been working with that for 10 years. So we in general support the idea. The one thing I was a little bit worried about was I can't remember the names now, but the easy category.
Discovery.
Discovery. It says solo or teams of two. I know that in Denmark we in generally not support solo races because adventure racing is you are a team. I can see the idea of being a solo because we can maybe bring in more people and they can meet the others and then they can formate a team. So that could maybe be a positive, but I think it's also important for Discovery that it's like the other three categories, it's 2 or 3 or 4 per team. So it gives the race organizer more possibilities. And in the end, we want to form a team of 4 because that's the format in ARWS. So so just an input. And again, I would say Denmark, we will probably vote yes, but we will not be able to implement this in 26, maybe in 27. But again, we have like a running system for 10 years, so it will take quite some time to change the mindset in the racing organization, but also a lot of the work we've been put in last 10 years with videos, social media, everything. It's called something different in Denmark, so it will take a lot of work and money.
May I give two things pop to mind which you nicely put input. The first thing is the discussion about the solo or 2 or 3 or whatever. It's still, of course, up to the race director to decide if the race is open for 2 racers, even if in the system it's also open for a solo racer. So if Denmark says, okay, we don't allow solo races, but apart from that, it meets the criteria for discovery race, you can just use the badge of discovery because the race director still decides how exactly this race will evolve. Second remark will be that I can see, of course, that a lot of work has been put into the system in Denmark, and you cannot easily change it, but you can adjust it probably a little bit because for the recognizability worldwide, also attract races to select races they want to do. Also in Denmark, it can help just to add the banner. So besides the existing system, so internationally it will be more recognizable for races from the Netherlands, for instance, or Belgium or whatever. So okay, this is a discovery race. We know the word. Okay, those were my two remarks.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I don't know if I've got all the raised hands, but I see Wardy, I see your hand. So
Yeah, no, just a quick comment. I would propose to use 2026 as a year of probation, like let's say. Instead of we define 2 years for implementation, let's define 2026 as a year for probation. We discuss with our organizers, countries, questions like the Denmark question gonna come. And at the end of this year, we get together, check if everything is. Oh, along the year, we can discuss with you guys. But instead of define, okay, 2 years to have it implemented, let's go step 1 year of probation. And at the end of the year, we get together again and use 2027 for the implementation.
Yeah, and we can make adjustments if necessary because practice.
Okay, because we don't know right now the situation that the organizer is gonna raise, right? I think it's a good starting point, but something for us to test.
Seems a good idea. Thank you, Wardy. Cormac.
Yeah, it just to kind of, I suppose, support that exactly what's been said there. I think it's a dynamic thing. It's a guide. Initially it's something that we're introducing, but I would say that the overarching sense on the working group on this project was to look at across the world and how we're actually representing the races that are working are being run, and I think we were all really surprised at that different no, there was no consistency at all to how races are being described and what to expect in races and what so I think the idea here, of course, is that there's some consistency coming to this, that we know what a discovery race is, an entry level race is, what a day race is, what a multi-day race, and we know what an expedition race is, and generally that we're all working on the same wavelength, and we're countries are using a similar system so that the participants, especially new participants, can clearly see, what are the actual discovery races I could do, or what are the challenge races are, and so on and so forth, and just also, I think what was interesting from the survey of the 70, or we pushed it out to all countries, but we got 17 countries responding. And there seemed to be lots of longer races, lots of races in the endurance and expedition area, but there was actually not very many in the discovery and the entry levels area, and that. So that's something for us to be aware of. We do need a lot more entry level discovery races happening kind of in all our countries to actually bring new people into the sport. So that's something for us to just be aware of. But yeah, it's initially it'll be just, we're going to introduce it and see how it goes over the first year, and probably evolve and develop it. But there is I know we've I think Wayne and we've developed a small guidance document that can be circulated around just to kind of support the launch of this now. Okay.
Yeah.
Cormac, just like to say that I was part of the group, and I think that is something interesting. That is, this is how the task groups are working. We need people to volunteer to actually work and try to think about these matters. And of course, there's room to improve, and we can modify it. And it's not like somebody's going to point a gun to your chest and going to tell you, now you have to call your race like this. The general idea is for all of us to start using these words and probably adapt it to whatever we need. I mean, it's not like we already have a large definition of adventure racing. The example of solo races comes from Ireland, in which you have solo races for adventure racing in the shorter races. So I think the general idea is that we all work together, but we all agree that it's important to have some international concept that can work for all of us, even if we just adapt it to whatever the format is in our special race. We just want to have a general idea, but to still have the flair and the design of all the race directors.
Wise words, Alan. Thank you. So, and I think these really expresses the feeling what you also see in the chats and what Cormac expressed. It's about the feeling. It is about the recognizability worldwide. It's about the professionalization. And if the motion will be, and that would be my suggestion, that we adopt the international categorization system in the way that Ellen just explained. It's not a gun on your head. And in a year's time, we will evaluate the system with all your experiences that you had by using the system and see where it brings us. So if we keep that in mind, the poll is on, I think. So my suggestion would be, please, 14 full members, you can start voting.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, only the 14 full members start voting. Otherwise, we'd have to do it all over again.
Yes.
If we end up with 27 votes, that's no good either.
It's looking encouraging at this point. Don't know, is there anyone on the call from Ireland that could vote? I can't. Okay. Okay. Everyone in?
I don't see anything happening on my screen, but
Yeah, I'll just end the poll now. And are you guys able to see that result?
Yes.
yes, but not. Is this 14? Because I can't see this.
Yes, yeah, 14 and 100% in favor of the motion. So that's a pretty resounding yes. Thank you all. That's just a note to say thank you to all of the other people on the working group that worked on this project. Yeah, this is a great result, and look forward to seeing where it goes.
I think one last thing on this is thank you for all the comments in the chat. We'll need to go through these and answer the questions post-meeting as an appendix, Cormac, because there's an awful lot of stuff that not necessarily been covered in the chat so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Next motion.
We can move on to the next motion, motion 2. This is about the adventure racing fee, and the introduction was already made by the treasurer of IARA, and I think he made very clear why it is necessary. Fee to professionalize our organization and just to cover the running costs and to invest. That is an important part of it. To invest in adventure racing, we give something back for adventure racing and develop it and let it grow. There were there's also be a working group on this. And with the consultation of members to see, okay, what is feasible to have as a member fee. And if I can have the next slide, because the yeah, well, like I said, needs to function and develop the information you were given by the treasurer, and the fees the working group come up with a system of three tiers.
Three tiers, yeah.
Three and also, and I don't know why it is not the fourth tier. It's for observer members, but they in the proposal they will pay less, the least. Can you bring up the slide? What is the
I can put the motion up, but is there any questions around this? just to also say that there was a fairly detailed letter issued to all member countries around this, and where we invited feedback and comments, and what people were thinking, and what while we didn't receive any formal emails back, we got some kind of sense of it from just some conversations that some people were a bit concerned about the fees, and that were being proposed and so on. So would like to get a sense of that from any of you here, if anyone's got any questions around that. I think what we're proposing at this stage is that the motion is in principle that we are introducing a membership fee for IARA in 2026. We're not fixed on the fee just yet. There may well be a need for us to just look at the actual figures, and also have some, I suppose, flexibility there for countries that may not have the funds to actually kind of, to pay a fee, or indeed may wish to move to a different tier or a different fee level. So yeah, any questions on it?
Maybe also a very brief explanation what the tiers are based on. The tiers are based on how long the organization or association is established, and the duration of the establishment of the organization, and what we think is a large, medium, or small membership, and the last, not called tier, but still a fee for the observer countries. And then there's this list of the proposal, but like Cormac said, this is also not a gun to your head that you have to pay. This is a proposal and a way that we can reach some financial healthiness. Okay, Alan.
Yeah, just in this case, and like Wayne usually says, I'm gonna take my IARA hat off and put my Uruguayan Association as a representative for Uruguay. And also I discussed the matter with the Paraguayan representative, Lucho, which is in the call now. And yeah, we feel something that Lisa was saying in the chat is that probably these numbers could be revised, because we are very proud and very honored to be listed with great associations and big sharks of adventure racing. But even if we have 10 years or plus of experience and of building an association, for us, countries like Uruguay and Paraguay, I cannot speak for Brazil because they are a big country, but I know for Uruguay and Paraguay, probably we're being asked is probably some 10% of our budget, and it's quite pricey. So even if we support, and we are probably going to vote to approve the motion, we would like to review a little bit of these numbers and find something that we can actually cover, and that is as a Uruguayan representative.
Now, just to your point, Alan, I agree with the concept to have, using Alan's word, the big sharks paying more, big in terms of size of the organization. I agree to have this differentiation. But for example, for the moment, to pay $400 for Brazil, we don't have that available at this time, right? So to revise the numbers, to review, I know that the numbers were built based on the needs that IARA has, right? We have bills to pay. But as Alan mentioned, I'm in the position to vote yes. The challenge will be to find the money, to find the budget to pay the bill. But the concept, I totally agree with that. We need something like that.
Sorry, I guess using again my IARA hat, I think it's important that we agree on a motion to support IARA financially. But I think that it's important that probably in the future all the members could actually think of how to cover this fee, because at the moment, like Wally said, we don't have in Uruguay. I mean, we have the money in the bank, yes, but it's a 10% of our budget that we don't. It's not part of our budget today. So I think in a future, all all of these members that are part of IARA could actually think, well, for the budget of the next year, I'm going to ask my members to pay some $5 fee or something like that that could actually cover what is needed to support IARA, something like that. It's not something to put a gun to your head, but it's something to think in the future that is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There are no more questions. We can put it up.
Okay.
So
okay. Oh,
I
sorry.
was about to put a plea out to everybody on the call. If anybody's got any bright ideas about how an equitable way of spreading the cost around,
Lars, probably from
please
Greenland.
put it in the chat.
I can step in, Lars Buggehave from Denmark again. I can step in and say that I think 10 years ago we introduced the license system in Danish adventure race. The first year there was a lot of people against it, and they say, who is gonna earn all that money? Blah blah blah. We can't afford it. Adventure races is so expensive. Why we have to pay more fees? The second year, people kind of agreed, okay, we're gonna pay it. And now, 10 years after, everybody thinks it's a natural part of developing sport because they can, at the end of the day, see that they get something back from their fee and that the races have improved from the money that went into the federation. And I think that the first year it's hard for a national federation to make license, and but the mission is that you're going to explain where those money are going to, like Ross explained the budget and so on. So if people are objecting and say something, then you just have to show them that this is how it will get back to the community. So it's about everybody are contributing a little bit, and at the end of the day, it's a great system. So I think all countries should kind of make similar idea. But you will have some people that are speaking out loud when you introduce it, but just make sure that those people are not the voices that you will be controlled of. There will always be people unhappy, and those people sometimes seems to have the biggest voice, but at the end of the day, it's the most what is most constructive for everybody that will win in the end.
Thanks, Lars.
Thank you, Lars.
Yeah, very wise. We're going to launch a poll on this, and again, I think what we're saying is that we're voting on the principle of introduction of fees. I think as a committee, we'll go back and have a look and do some further consultation with you all just to see if there's any other ideas around this, and if there's some way. I mean, we've got a system in place, but we'll look at it, we'll look at the fees, and we'll see what we can do to build some flexibility in there. But so I think we're voting on the principle of introducing fees at this point. So I'm going to launch this here. Okay, we've got 12 votes in there now. Anybody else want to get a vote in? India goes yes. Yep. Thank you. Well, I think we have it carried. I'm just going to end the poll if that's okay. Apologies if anyone didn't get in there. I think we have 13 votes in there now. Okay. So that's a 92-8 in favor of that motion. And so that motion is carried. And so we'll move forward on that basis. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Niels, for shepherding us through that little section. We're into the election of our steering committee. Lisa, over to you just to introduce this.
Okay, so with the election of the steering committee, I think Brian Gatens, he's actually going to jump in on this. But we asked countries for nominations of people, and the confirmation, I think, on the next screen, Wayne, you can pop forward for us. Oh, no. Okay. So just on the constitution, so the important elements, I don't want to jump in with Brian. Sorry, Brian, are you going to jump in here? I don't want to steal your thunder.
Sure, I'm ready to jump in as soon as you do your thing. Pick it over to me when you're done explaining.
Sorry, Lisa, you just give us an update on the nominations received and just the process that you followed and where we're at.
Okay. So the nominations that we received. Oh, Cormac, I haven't got it open. Sorry. It is on one of the slides coming up. There we go. Thank you. All right. So for chairperson, Ross Phillips. Secretary is me. Finance for Michael Garrison. Media PR, Wayne. General membership for Alan. General member Pascal. General member Jose. And general for Cormac. One of the nice things that we had this year is that with the positions and the nominations coming in, we didn't have any conflicts. So there weren't two people jumping in for finance, for example, which also makes it quite nice in that we don't have to vote for the different members for the positions. They do get filled. Wayne, if you can just go back to our constitution. So one of the elements that we have here is that if there are no nominations received from a country for a position, that the steering committee may appoint people to those roles. That's point number 6. And our general positions that we have, if you look at point number 2, is the chairperson, general secretary, treasurer, media, and then 2 general committee positions. The steering committee also reserves the right in number 3 that we can co-opt people for working groups or for specific purposes to participate in the organization's activities. So those are just the check-ins there. And then I think we can carry on. Brian, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. So my role now, if everybody's still on the call, is that the steering committee, which is comprised of the previous members, is now dissolved. I am the person in charge of IARA for about 3 minutes here at the most, maybe more like 3 seconds. What now takes place here, because there are no contested seats on the steering committee, therefore the people whose names were submitted to the committee are now moved into those positions. So just wanted to, the window of time has closed to submit additional members. And so in my non-administrative role, simply as a civilian who has done this before in my professional life as a school superintendent / headmaster, the old committee is dissolved. It transfers to me for the purpose of appointing the new steering committee for 2026. So I want to announce the following people officially as being the steering committee members. From the UK, we have Chairperson Ross Phillips, South Africa General Secretary Lisa Despevel, USA Finance is Michael Garrison, Canada Media and PR is Wayne Leake, Uruguay is General Membership is Alan Puyol, France General Member is Pascal Bahoud, Spain General Member is Jose Manuel Rivas Sandez, and Ireland General Tasks and Project is Cormac McDonald. I want to thank everybody who served on the previous steering committee. Welcome to the new members 2026, and thank you for asking me to be involved. I now turn the meeting back over to Ross, who's now serving in the position as chairperson. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. That was a much less painful voting experience than we had last year. But in all seriousness, we really should be voting for this committee, so it's something to look forward to next year. I think there's one point of order that we forgot to do previously, which would lump into any other business, and that's to vote on the budget, or to at least have the members accept the budget for 2026 for IARA. Cormac, would you mind just
I'll
doing
do
a quick
poll
poll on that one?
That's it. I'll just do that now. Give me one moment here.
No problem. I'm also conscious we're running a little bit tight against the clock. It's always the case. The one item that came up when we asked for any other business at the beginning of the meeting came from Jose. He was asking about whether we're looking for, are we going to search for volunteers? I think the short answer is yes, we most definitely are, but I'll open that to the floor for anybody to volunteer their services or interest. Probably the easiest way to record it is just drop something in the chat, and then we've got a record of it right away. If you could spend a minute doing that while Cormac does the poll.
Mm-hmm. Let's try and do this. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you guys are seeing that there now? Yep. Okay. Okay. I think we are good to close here. Everybody in? Okay. So I think that's fair to say that budget has been adopted. Ross?
Thank you very much, everybody. Mike, you've got a budget to work with.
Okay.
Right, so last chance for any matters, any other business. We'll give it a minute or two for you to raise hands, contribute. Otherwise, we'll bring the meeting to a close. So, Alan.
No, just a quick reminder that first, anything that you said here in the chat group is going to be recorded, but there's open lines of communication through contact at International Adventure Racing, membership at International Adventure Racing, and also that if you feel like there's something missing, there are still task groups that are working. One is the development guidance that we already mentioned, but there are more things to develop. And you have to go back to the strategic plan in which there is a strong sports, strong membership, and a strong organization. And whatever you think that is missing in IARA, it's important that you feel like you can actually step in. The task groups are small groups or 5 to 6 people that only work through probably 2 months. They meet probably once every 2 weeks or something like that. It's not a huge workload, and it's important. It's what actually provides value to IARA. It's important that even if you're not a full member, if you're not a server member, if you have people that can volunteer and they don't come from a structured country, whatever, you can actually pitch ideas, and then we can all grow together. I think that is important to mention.
Yeah, thank you, Alan, for that very good reminder. And the output of the race classification system is typical of a working group sort of project. So that's the type of thing.
Yeah,
Right.
Ross, just a quick word for me just before we sign off. I just wanted to explicitly thank the steering committee again, and specifically Lisa and Ross for just all the work that goes in around the background of preparing for this AGM. And yeah, just the entire steering committee. Thanks for the support over the last couple of weeks, and indeed over the last 12 months. Okay, over to you, Ross.
Okay, so I think that brings, for some reason my camera's gone off, but you've seen my face already, so it doesn't matter. I think that will bring the meeting to a close. The next AGM will be in about a year's time, probably around about the same time, third Wednesday of January, but we'll send out the notices in good time, closer to the time. And I think we can close the meeting now. And if I could ask the new steering committee just to stay behind, and we'll just agree a date for our first meeting.
Okay. Thank
Thanks
you for that.
everybody, and thanks
Thank
to
you,
all the
everyone.
volunteers that
everybody.
you